Hi, I'm Lydia, and I'm going to be talking about why I'm no longer vegan. So, I guess I'll start out with my journey about how I was vegan. How did I become vegan? Well, it kind of started out. Well, my mom was always kind of a healthy, crunchy type of a mom. We were kind of a crunchy, healthy type of a family. I shouldn't say put it all on my mom because we were like a kind of a strange family in the sense of like my mom would make um, pancakes with buckwheat flour, and we were all like, yeah, buckwheat. You know what I mean? Like, so we were already kind of, for some reason, like that. Like, I genuinely like the taste of like healthy foods, which I know, not relatable to some people. I get it. I don't know why my taste buds are like this. Maybe I have my mom to thank, but genuinely, that type of thing. Or like, my mom would buy like spelt noodles for spaghetti, and we would all just go crazy for it. And it's like, I don't know. But it's neither here nor there. We were just kind of like that as a family. And we also were trying to find a different church to go to, or a church to go to, as our faith was growing. And I do say our because I would often question things a lot as a kid, and just kind of like, well, why are we here? Why do we exist? And okay, well, if there is a God, then you know, people say that they have a relationship with him. Well, can I talk to him? Like, just a lot of these sort of questions. And so eventually down the road, we found the Seventh-day Adventist church. And we were Seventh-day Adventists for a while. And if you don't know about the Seventh-day Adventists, they are a sector of Christianity, but they are kind of known for a few different things. Like, these are the things that they're unique about. And one of them being that they celebrate the Sabbath. So they go to church on Saturday. And they are mostly vegan, which does stem from their prophet Ellen White. Okay, and that's a whole nother tangent, a whole nother video, but if you want to look into that, go right ahead. It does stem from her, but they do frame it in sort of a way of like our Father wants us to eat healthy, and so and veganism is healthier for you, and so much of the church is vegan. And when they have potlucks, which is a big thing in the Seventh-day Adventist church as well, they have like all vegan food. Yeah, it's a little community. It's a vegan community. And so when we started going to church there, we didn't immediately jump into veganism, but they would have like little seminars, little classes about veganism, and we were like, hey, this makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, we were also animal lovers, and giving up meat, I don't think was that hard for us. I think it was mostly the dairy that was hard for us to give up. Just because it does restrict a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, we were vegan, you know, largely because we were a part of that church and we discovered this new way of being. We are no longer in the Seventh-day Adventist church. And even when we left the Seventh-day Adventist church, we did eat vegan still for a long, long time. And then we fell sick. And by we, I mean my mom and I specifically. Other family members didn't fall sick from it, but my mom and I did. I do talk about my journey with this on my channel, but I fell sick with toxic mold, severely so. And it was really rough for a good 4 to 5 years of my life. And it gave me so many symptoms, pretty much every symptom under the sun that you can imagine. It was terrible. It was like a fighting for my life every day type of a situation, really. And so I was in that, and in the very beginning of that, when I started to gain weight quite rapidly, because I ended up gaining 100 pounds in total, but I gained it really rapidly over a span of a few months. And at that time, my doctor was really trying to investigate. She's like, it looks like it's something external. It has to be something external. And for some reason, my mind just didn't go to toxic mold, like, at all. It just didn't go there, even though we had water damage. Like, that's how far removed from understanding mold I was. Like, I really didn't understand anything about it. And I had all of these misconceptions about it. Like, okay, mold is usually black, right? Like, mold usually smells bad. Like, all of these things, which just weren't true about all strains of mold. And so I was gaining weight really rapidly, and I had brain fog. I had all of these symptoms, and my doctor was like, what is going on? Like, this is very abnormal. This has got to be something external. What's going on? And then she started asking me about my eating habits. And at the time, I was vegan, and I was eating at a calorie deficit. And at this point, I really didn't know how to feed myself. Like, I didn't really understand how much food a human was supposed to consume, largely because people throughout my entire life told me, eat when you're hungry, eat when you're hungry. Like that was their thing. And for some reason, my body decided that it wasn't going to tell me when I was hungry, truly. And so I was kind of starving, to be honest. And I was pretty underweight at that point, too. But my doctor was trying to figure out, like, okay, how much are you eating? What is your lifestyle like? What's going on? Because you're gaining weight extremely rapidly. And then when I told her all of this, like, okay, she had me do, like, how much are you eating in a day, and what are you eating in a day? And I was eating extremely little, and it just shocked her. It shocked her that I was eating so little, yet gaining extreme amounts of weight, like 20 to 25 pounds every single time I was going in there. And that was every maybe month to every 2 weeks or something. So definitely shocking to her, definitely jarring to her. She also was very concerned with the amount of protein that I was eating, because there are different types of protein as well. Like, in the vegan community, they often talk about how there's just as much protein in broccoli than there is in, like, a chicken or something. And it's like, well, there are different types of different types of protein in both of them. And so it's like, well, I wasn't getting enough, of protein, really. It's like, I don't know. It's crazy how little I was eating, and yet I was gaining so fast. And during this time, I had experienced, just like I said, about every symptom under the sun. I was extremely fatigued. I was experiencing flu-like symptoms. I felt like I was on my deathbed. Like, I was like, I need help desperately, because I was just declining and deteriorating fast. And the thing is with my doctor, like, she was helping me to the best of her ability. And at the end of the day, she was like, I think the key here is that you're gonna have to eat more, number one, and two, you should probably try to get more protein in. And she didn't want to say, because she knows how important veganism was to us, and also how important veganism is to a lot of vegans. But she was like, and I mean, if you're open to eating meat and including dairy in your diet, I might recommend doing so. But she left that up to us. And of course, my immediate was, I don't think I want to do this, because I've been vegan for so long, and that means literally eating an animal again. And I don't want to get into that. I don't even want to start that. And it broke my heart even thinking about that, honestly, because veganism isn't just a diet. It is a way of life. It's even connected to morality a lot of times, and spirituality. And so it's like, I just had a really hard time getting into that and getting past that. But I kept thinking about how difficult it felt like it would be to maintain being vegan while having to take care of myself to this new extent. Like, I would have had to be eating more than double what I was eating, and I already was having a hard time figuring out what to eat while I was being vegan, just because one, we didn't have like a ton of money to just explore all of these different things all of the time, and a lot of the times vegan food is a little bit more expensive, just a little, and I was mostly eating just vegetables all day. So it's like, okay, and then on top of that, I was wondering, okay, in terms of more dense protein, am I just going to be adding beans to everything? Because I'm just a person who doesn't really like beans in general. It was just a really difficult time to think about all of this stuff. And just knowing that if I just dove in and started eating meat and dairy again, that I would have an easier time. And that really was a hard thing for me to get past too, because it's like, okay, so it's an easier time for me, but now I'm eating animals. Like, so I'm putting my needs before animals' needs. And that was a really hard morality battle that I had to go through for a long time. And just, I prayed about it a lot and I debated it a lot. But at the end of the day, I did ultimately choose to start eating meat and dairy again, because I had to look at it like, I value these animals' lives. I do. But I shouldn't value an animal's life over my own life. As hard as that is to confront. Because at the end of the day, our Father died for us, for our sins, you know. And it doesn't mean that from here on out I just completely disregard animals and treat them as you know, complete second class. It's just you know, only kill when needed, only eat what, you know, when needed, and completely honor the fact that you're eating a piece of meat and dairy and something that comes from an animal. You know, it definitely shifted my mind from how I was before being vegan to now after being vegan. Because now I definitely look at animals and every animal that I eat differently than I did before I was vegan. But it did come down to the fact that I was going to have to eat over double what I was before. And it was already a struggle for me to find out how to feed my body then. Getting enough protein, helping myself from passing out, because I was frequently passing out before. It was a rough time. While I was vegan, I loved being vegan in some aspects. I loved the fact that I didn't eat animals. I loved the fact that I wasn't partaking in that. But I loved the vegan food. I do. I loved juices, fresh juices, which I still eat, I still consume. So it's not like I stopped doing that, but I loved vegan food. You know, and I loved being a part of the vegan community, and I felt like I was doing morally the right thing. But when it came down to, I am actively deteriorating very fast, and in order to even help myself a little bit to function and not be on my deathbed anymore, it would require me to figure out, use brain power, first of all, which I didn't have. I had none. I had no brain power at this point. Completely brain fogged and fatigued all the time, drained, all of it. And I was gonna have to come up with how, something that was already hard for me, which was to eat enough food, but eating double, more than double. And that was really, I knew that was going to be a struggle if I chose to continue to be vegan. And so it felt at a large point of it that it was my health versus the health of animals, or the well-being of animals and living animals. And that was really hard, but at the end of the day, over time, my body has come to realize that it is safe. Because beforehand, my body was in a constant fight or flight because it wasn't getting enough calories, it wasn't getting enough nutrients. And I will say this, okay, I was eating so much nutritional yeast back then, okay, I was dumping it on everything because I loved nutritional yeast, and I still love nutritional yeast. But I wasn't getting enough B vitamins, okay, I just wasn't, and I always had to take a B complex. Now I don't take one, and my levels are great, you know, it's like, And on top of that, I've always been anemic. I don't know exactly why. That's a different rabbit hole I'm going to have to go down. And I hope I can find a doctor that will help me through that, because I have not, through my life, found a doctor who was willing to discover why I am anemic. But I will say that even though they say that you can get a good amount of iron in these vegetables, it is interesting how back then I had to take a lot of iron, and I always felt iron deficient, and I honestly could have been taking far more, and every time I would go into the doctors, they would check my iron levels and it was low, every time. And today, I go in and this is the first time in my life where my iron levels are normal. Like, actually normal. And I kept asking, like, are you sure it's not just slightly lower? Like, where in the range am I? And I'm normal for the first time. I still take an iron supplement, but I'm not taking excess iron supplements. I'm not ever feeling deficient. And if I skip a day of taking my iron supplement, I'm not on my deathbed, which is crazy, because that's always been the case for me. And I'm sure that some people will say you just weren't doing veganism right, and you know what? I'm sure. Because the thing is I'm not saying that veganism just flat out doesn't work for people. But I do think that it takes a lot more effort. It takes a lot more effort, and if you don't have the means or the brain power to have that effort, to do that, then it's going to be really difficult, and your body's going to be working at a deficit, and your body's going to be struggling, because it is so hard, or at least in my experience, it was so hard to maintain trying to eat enough when I was vegan, trying to eat enough calories. I mean, you can only eat so much avocado, you know what I mean? Like, and I'm one of those people who feel really off when I eat too many fruits. I will eat fruit, you know, every day, but I feel off if I were to eat excess amounts of fruit and excess amounts of vegetables. Even though when I was vegan, I desperately wanted to be raw vegan. That was like my next goal, is to be raw vegan. I still am so baffled on how some people can be raw vegan, because it is, I mean, but people do it, and so I don't know. That is something that I would have to look into maybe, but on how people do that. But yeah, it was a lot for me to do, and maybe, you know, I'm sure people might say, like, well, no, you actually could have just done this. You could have just added more of this vegetable. You could have just added more of this protein. And then I was seeing mixed things about soy. I still read mixed things about soy all the time. Like, soy actually isn't good for you. Soy is good for you, whatever. And I don't know, you know, but I do know that at the time, my mind just mentally could not handle any more research, because I was already trying to research how to heal from toxic mold. It was way too much going on in my life. And I did ultimately choose myself over the animal, over animals. But my mindset about animals is forever changed. And that is one thing that I think veganism will always have in my life. It will always have that place in my life where it changed my mindset about animals, because every time I eat an animal, every time I eat, a burger or some chicken, I'm, or even, even a piece of cheese, like I'm like, wow, this was a living, breathing being, and thank you. Thank you that this animal had to sacrifice a part of themselves to feed me. And wow, how even beautiful is that, although sad, And I think acknowledging that is so important. So important, because we can't lose that connection between our food and what we, the animal that it came from. And that's something that I think becomes very lost when you have no experience in veganism, like you've never been vegan before. Like it's hard to have that connection every time, or realizing that every time. It's also funny because I think a lot of people don't really know, like they have such a disconnect from what animal is to the food that they're eating. Because when we were vegan, so many people, we would say, oh no, I'm vegan, I'm so sorry, I can't eat that, or I don't eat this, or no thank you. And they'd be like, why? We'd be like, I'm vegan, I don't eat it, whatever. When you tell people, they'd be like, oh, well, can you have fish? Oh, well, can you have chicken? Chicken's an animal. Like, no, chicken is an animal, it is. Or like, I know that you probably have met a pescatarian at one point who only eats fish, but no, fish is in fact an animal. But I think people just don't have that connect of like to think, okay, you don't eat animals, but like, okay, well, surely what animals do you eat? Because it's so integrated in my life, But I'm not vegan anymore. And for the first time in my life, I've been eating consistently a healthy amount of calories for the first time in my life. And especially now, as my body is trying to heal from toxic mold actively still. I mean, I think I'm healed from toxic mold. That's my theory, because almost every symptom that I've had from toxic mold is gone except for the weight. But the weight is continually going down, slowly but surely, to where my body is catching up to how much I'm actually eating and how much I'm taking care of myself. Because I think I'm still 100 pounds overweight, even though I'm not eating to that degree by any means. But it's a process, and I still think that eating enough is, eating enough is going to help aid my body in understanding that it is safe and that it can be who it's supposed to be. Anyway, have a good day, you guys. That's all I have to say about it.